Thanks. Over to you, Councillor Graham.
Okay. I'd like to welcome members then morning to the West Yorkshire Joint Services Committee Governance and Audit Subcommittee. So have we all our members here?
Yes, we are.
Okay, we're quorate then. Okay then, any apologies for absence? No, we're quorate. I have no announcements. Do we have any members' declarations of interest?
None as we close the meeting, Chair.
Thank you. Item 4, we approve the minutes as correct minutes of the meeting held on the 3rd of December?
Councillor Walsh,
thank you. I haven't agreed to any other items. Just happy that actually, I think it'll be good that we do the meeting with the full meeting of the West Yorkshire Joint Services. And any exclusions of public and press, Karen?
No exempt papers.
Okay then, so we'll go on to item 7, review of risks. We'll take that one.
That's Susan.
Susan?
Yes, this is a normal review of risks that we bring to each committee. We have reviewed them as management team. We review them regularly. And on page 10 of your documents, you'll see that at CSO2, there is a risk around the financial performance of joint services, and that score was previously at 20, and that was due to the probability being at 5, given the financial position that we were in earlier in the year. You'll see later on the Joint Services Committee agenda, the revenue position is much better, and indeed that was reported to you at the last committee as well. So management team have reviewed that score and got it down to a probability of 4 with an impact of 16, which is obviously still higher than we would like. And we'll review it again at the end of the financial year once we're sure of the position. Other than that, there are just some very minor changes, and I'm just happy to take questions, Chair.
Thank you, Susan. Do we have any questions to Susan on that item? No. And if anything comes to mind, you can bring it back up in the main meeting. Okay then, so item 8, reserves policy.
Michelle's going to take that, Chair.
Okay, Michelle, please. Michelle, you must be muted. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can now. Thank you.
Okay, so the reserves policy was last reviewed in February last year. Over the last 2 years, the budget position has become more difficult and changes have been made to the reserves part of the continued operation. In 2019, the decision was made to maintain a single reserves fund rather than separate general and earmarked reserves funds, and that joint services would seek to maintain an overall financial resilience reserve of 200,000. Following recent reviews of joint services, the approval of a budget for 21 and 22, it is appropriate to ensure that remains valid. Recommendations that members acknowledge and confirm the policy at Appendix A, and the level of reserves is anticipated to increase from last year due to projected surplus in revenue budget. I'll just move on to the reserves table at 5.2. Just to say, give you an updated position and apologise, but obviously this report was produced before the joint committee reports, and there has been a change in the revenue deficit forecast. So where this reserves table is forecasting a surplus of 182,964, the actual position at the moment for the end of January was 109,670, and that is reported later in the joint committee papers under the revenue budget report. It gives the financial resilience reserve at 600,893. And for 21-22, we have the POCA financial investigators is 136,529, and that would leave the bottom line at 464,364 for reserves. Happy to take any questions, Chair.
Any questions? Anybody? Obviously, it'll be coming up in the main meeting. No? Okay, thank you. So, item 9. Partnership register. Who will be doing
That's
that,
me
please?
again, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
So this report provides members with a summary of the significant ongoing partnership grants at the end of January 21. The partnership and grant funding appended to the report, Appendix A, has been reviewed and there are no changes. Happy to take any questions, Chair.
Thank you. Any questions? I've got anything. I'm just looking in the chat who's from J. Hyde Wakefield. There appears to be a fair bit of lag. Can members turn off their cameras when not speaking? Well, actually, we prefer the cameras to be on, then we can see who's taking part in the meeting. So I would prefer if people put the cameras on, and then we do feel as if we are all together in some way. And I cannot see any interference because the cameras are on. Okay, so no questions on that one. Item 9, partnership register. Who's taking that, please, Susan?
This one we've just done, Chair. We're moving on to item 10. The annual
sorry,
governance.
it's the
All right. So this is
governance statement then.
Yes, the action plan. Again, this is the plan that we bring to you updated at each meeting. The updates and any actions are in red on the table at page 33 onwards. So you can see there has been some good results. We passed the BSI mid-year assessment in January 21. That was a very good report. We only had 2 very minor non-conformances, which given the position that we've been in the last 12 months is very satisfactory. And just to note, obviously at 5.2 action 1, we are now in the process of preparing a 3-year service plan, and we'll be able to bring that to you at the annual meeting in June. Following potential changes to the governance arrangements as part of that, and as part of the governance review that I've been working on with internal audit, we will look to review the format and content of the annual governance statement as we move into the new financial year as well. Happy to take any questions, Chair.
Thank you, Susan. Any questions or comments to Susan? No. I appreciate the Wobby really, because it is short notice that we're doing the governance and audit meeting before the full meeting. So, but at least people know what's there. Okay, then we move on to item 11, internal audit progress report.
That's Julie Cousins.
Julie?
Good morning. Thank you, Chair. Morning, members. So my name's Julie Cousins. I'm the Principal Audit Manager at Wakefield Council, and I'm presenting our update report to you today on behalf of Jason Brooke. The purpose of the report is to provide an update to the committee on the progress of audit work within the 2020-21 audit plan. And as the report was written at the end of January 21, I will also provide members with a verbal update of our progress since then. The report also provides members with the opportunity to suggest any changes to the audit plan, factoring in any new or emerging risks. The progress against each individual audit, as at the end of January, is detailed in the table at paragraph 5.2, and I'll bring members up to date with the current position to date on each of these audits. With the archive services, we agreed to delay this audit to allow for the accreditation process by the National Archive Services to take place, and we are waiting the outcome of that assessment. The calibration services, we've completed the work and the draft report has been issued to the key contact, with a closing meeting scheduled for later on this month. In terms of our key financial systems work, the debtors testing is complete and we're about to start writing our report, and the creditors report was issued in February and gave a substantial audit opinion. And the final piece of work, the workforce development and staff retention audit, is now underway. There was one piece of ongoing audit work which covered business continuity planning, and this is now being completed and the draft report is currently being considered. And our corporate governance work will also be completed in time for the audit opinion. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the staff at West Yorkshire Joint Services who've been involved in our audit work for their prompt response to our queries, which has been really appreciated during this difficult time. The report also gives members the opportunity to determine whether there should be any changes to the audit plan. And at that point, I'm happy to take any questions, Chair.
Thank you, Julie. Has anybody any questions or comments to Julie? No, you can always bring them up in the main meeting if anything does arise. Okay, so we're now on to item 12, asset management policy.
Thank you, Chair. Just a short
Susan,
asset management policy, but it's important that we have it in place and we bring it to you regularly to endorse approval of it. Obviously, we did have some substantial disposal of assets last year, in this financial year, following the closure of analytical services and also materials testing, and we have reported on the financial implications of that previously. So it's just to approve the policy, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So, and item 13, business continuity plan.
Thank you, Chair. So I think we've been tested, haven't we, all of us this last year on our business continuity, the best test that you can possibly have, really. As Julie indicated earlier, there has been an internal audit review into our business continuity planning. I just received that about a week ago, so I'll be having some conversations with Julie over the next few days. There are some helpful recommendations in there of things that we could benefit from. But overall, the review is good. So I think the things to highlight are that for a small organisation, we've managed the pandemic quite well. And there have been some good outcomes, particularly in terms of the robustness of our IT, our communications. We've taken the opportunity to increase our resilience around call-outs and support through the building. But in terms of potential issues going forward, as I say, internal audit does make some recommendations, particularly to create greater links to our local authorities to provide that greater resilience that we do need as a small local authority. So I'm happy to report on those in future as we get that internal audit report to this committee. Other than that, Chair, I'm happy to take any questions on the plan or on our response and how we've managed the last 12 months.
Thank you, Susan. Anybody, any comments or questions to Susan? No, I'm sure if you have, they can come up in the main meeting. Thank you. So on that one, we're item 14, date and time of the next meeting in July 2021 to be confirmed. So thank you, Chair, for allowing us to do this part. And obviously for everybody, it's a lot more in depth when we do have the actual main meeting. And it is very important to, shall we say, the sustainability of West Yorkshire Joint Services, the Governance and Audit Subcommittee. So thank you, everybody, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Graham. I'll endorse your final remark there. It's important that when people are accepting going on a committee, that they try the best. I know it's been a difficult time for everybody. I think we all understand that, but it is important to try to certainly try and attend. So thanks for that, and we can now move on to the main agenda. The cameras are still on, I presume, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so that's okay then. Can we move on to item 1 on the main agenda? Are there any apologies for absence?
Councillor Susan.
Okay, thanks for that.
And Councillor Zaman as well.
Councillor Zaman as well.
Thank you.
She may be joining us later, I understand, though.
Yes, that's correct. She might be joining us a bit later if she can, yeah.
Okay, thanks a lot.
And also Councillor Steve Sweeney.
Okay, thank you. Any others, just before we move on? If not, substitutes, any substitutes?
No, Chair.
Okay. Any members' declarations of interest?
Not received prior to the meeting, Chair.
Okay. Can someone approve the minutes of the previous meeting, please? Can we have a mover? Yeah, that's Councillor Graham. Is that seconded? Can we have a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second them.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Courtney. That's great. So we'll move on to item 6. There are no items that I've added to the agenda. So moving on to item 7, The cameras will stay on until we get to items 16, 17 and 18 and then we'll have to exclude the public and press on grounds that they're likely to involve exempt information, etc. So we'll move on to item 8, if that's okay, performance monitoring. I understand this is you, Linda.
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is the report on Q3's performance up to the end of December, with the usual appendix on each service area's achievement against targets set in the service business plan. As Susan mentioned earlier, a new 3-year service business plan from 2021 is on the go alongside work on the service action plans that will sit beneath that, and that will come to the June committee. I'm happy to take any questions, Chair.
Thanks for that, Linda. Any questions on performance monitoring? Okay, I can't see any coming through, so that's okay. Thanks for that, Linda.
Thank you.
Item 9, revenue budget monitoring. Michelle.
Thank you, Chair. So this report is to provide the committee with a further update on financial performance for 2021 and will include the latest forecast on the outturn position based on information available at the end of January. Further details on the service area variances are available further down in the document, and Appendix A provides information on the gross income and expenditure for each service area. I recommend that members note the latest projected financial outturn position for 2021 and approve the reserves earmarked for future use. If we move down to the financial position at 5.2, table 1, the latest forecast on the summary outturn position is not really changed much since the last meeting, and the overall surplus at the end of January was 109,000. Just to stress that this is a projection based on information available at the end of January, and there is still some uncertainty in all income generating areas as we remain in COVID lockdown, and it's possible that the year-end outturn could be then.
Can I just stop you, Michelle? Sorry, in full floor. I know I'm picking up from Greg there's some issues, some potential. I understand what Pauline said, but it's no good if we are going to have a shutdown and disruption to the meeting. So if it's okay, I'll leave mine on as chair, but can I ask other people, unless they're speaking, to turn the cameras off, because it's going to cause another soon, and bouncing in and out will not help us. So unless you're speaking, will you please turn the camera off? I'm really sorry, Michelle. I interrupted your flow, but I didn't want something to happen that caused a disruption. Over to you, Michelle.
Yeah, so just an update really. The position is at the moment forecasting a surplus of 109,000, and just to state that, you know, fortunately we are forecasting 163,000 for compensation for COVID-19 income losses. Happy to take any questions, Chair.
Any questions for Michelle? I can't see any hands or anything raised. So thank you for that, Michelle.
Thank you.
Right. Item 10, budget. I believe this is you, Susan.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So this paper follows on from the decisions made at the January committee and simply sets out the details in the various tables of the budget position, the subjective analysis, the district contributions, and then the total income and expenditure for each of the service areas for 21-22. And obviously ask members to approve the use of the reserve set out in section 5.1 as well.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Once again, I can't see anything coming through. So thank you for that, Susan. Item 11, pay policy statement, Susan.
Yeah, just get myself switched back on again, Chair. So again, this is a standard policy that we have to review and bring to you annually. You'll see these in your own authorities. We ask you to approve that pay policy, and in particular to continue to support the payment of the local living wage supplement, which is obviously slightly different to the national living wage. But again, I understand that all of your local authorities pay that local living wage supplement.
Yeah, I understand that. I think we all do. Any questions or comments on item 11?
Councillor Courtney has a question.
Councillor Courtney.
Yeah, thank you. So just to clarify, are we adopting the national living wage campaign, which I think is £9.50? Is that going to be adopted? And then I just wondered, is there ongoing monitoring on sort of pay? Just checking that there's sort of like equalities issues on pay grades generally. Is that sort of something that's monitored? Thank you.
Firstly, Chair, the local living wage supplement, I believe, is more than that. I don't know whether Michelle is able to confirm that. Michelle, are you able to confirm what the local wage is?
Sorry, Susan. We follow Wakefield Council's guidance on the local living wage, and I think our minimum rate is actually above the local living rate at the moment. I'm not quite sure what. I'm trying to scroll through all the documents to find the figure. Sorry.
And in response to the other question, yes, we do monitor the all of the equalities issues regularly in terms of our workforce.
4.2 of the policy gives information on the local living the rates.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Courtney? Yeah.
4.2, 4.3. Sorry, thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions for Susan? No, I can't see any others. So we're down to item 12. Linda.
Thank you, Chair. This is the annual report on regulatory powers which we're required to bring to committee. In the last year, there have been no authorisations in relation to RIPA activity, and I've authorised 3 communication data requests up until the 1st of March, which relate to mobile phone data within current investigations. And for completeness, I've also...
Yeah, that's approved. We've got item 15. Teresa.
Hi. Hi, this is the disaster recovery plan and emergency plan. So this is basically a standard plan that we have in archives. We bring it annually just to be reviewed and to update committee that we have it, and it's under review. It's a standard document that we have in archives detailing how to respond to a disaster such as a flood or a fire. Archives are unique, so if we lose anything, it's that document is lost forever, and that piece of history is lost forever. So it's good practice to have a disaster recovery plan in place. It's a very detailed document explaining all of that. We now include the rest of heritage in it as part of that as well. So I'm happy to take any questions, Chair, if anybody has any questions.
Any questions on this item or comments? Councillor Hussain. Councillor.
Sorry, that mute issue again. That mute issue again. Talking and it's on mute. Yeah, thank you for bringing the disaster plan in place. It's just a comment, really. In terms of, obviously, we appreciate that you've highlighted that the reasons for that, but I think it's very important to also highlight that it's not my professional background. So I wouldn't know what would be the right approach in terms of what is the right action sort of thing. So I am sort of relying on you in terms of putting the correct disaster plan in place and what you feel is necessary moving forward, really. And that's all that was on that point, really.
Thank you, Councillor.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a really good point. And that's what we're employed for too. We're expert.
I mean, it's difficult to know what to feed back on because it's not my area of expertise, and I appreciate you coming back with that plan, and you've explained your reasons why you feel that is necessary. But personally, I can't really comment because, like I said, it's not I'm not an expert in that particular field.
No, okay, thank you.
No, it is difficult, and I've not been involved in pulling them together, certainly not. I'll leave it to the experts, but I worked in the chemical industry for a number of years, and so I have seen a number of disaster planning, obviously. But the experts, I think Councillor Hussain makes a really good point on that side.
You're welcome to join us on we do an annual disaster training day, a really practical session. So you're welcome to join us and see what it's all about and how to rescue documents.
Very cool.
The chemical industry, actually. I'll bring you in now, Susan. You wanted to make a comment.
Yes, Chair. I think it's just worth saying, and Teresa will probably elaborate, that whilst we obviously do that plan, it is externally validated and is part of our very rigorous assessment by the National Archives, isn't it, Teresa? So it's probably just worth giving members that assurance.
It is, yes. So it's one of we have to submit lots of documents as part of our accreditation, which was mentioned earlier. We've just been audited on. So it's a requirement in the professional archive profession to do a disaster plan, and it gets audited. So the National Archives audit that, and they've just audited it as well. So yeah, so we do get that validation. We're probably one of the leading archive services in terms of disaster planning. I'd actually say our conservation team lead on it because they're the very practical, hands-on professionals, and we've got a very well-established conservation team. So we do usually score really highly on our disaster planning in archives. So yeah. So we do get that external validation.
And you can send me an invite, seriously, and if I
will do.
A couple of them, and they were quite interesting. But thanks for that. Are there any final questions?
Yeah, Chair, could I please, Chair?
Graham.
Thank you, Teresa. As the archives is one of the biggest issues on the way forward of keeping West Yorkshire Joint Services, I think it would be beneficial if we could all have a brief update by email or whatever, and exactly how you work, because it is a very important part of all of the councils, the archives and the information that's kept there. So it would be good if we could have a brief, just a brief email, say how you would actually work if there was an emergency, please.
Yes, I can certainly do that. So I can email that to you.
Thank you,
not
Chair.
a problem. I'll do that.
I think that's a good point,
Okay.
And then at least people get. It's a difficult thing to explain, but I'm sure you can do that. Thanks for that, Councillor Graham. With that, I think we can move on, and I understand now we're going into private. So can we make sure the cameras are turned off, please, Gregor?